stage, Jacek Kibilda!
Okay, so this is the first time I've done comedy stand-up. So I'm not used to make people laugh, at least not intentionally. So, you know, preparing for this, I looked up for some advice online. And this is what I found. So the first thing is that don't introduce yourself. Then open big, shock the audience, and then smile and look them in the eyes. Okay, so this is my take on this advice, all right? I've planted a bomb in this building, and I'm going to detonate it in 30 seconds. That's quite horrible. I mean, looking up advice on the internet feels like asking Charles Manson how to be a good Christian. It's just not going to work. So I will start conventionally. I'll start by saying, my name is Jacek. I'm a telecommunications engineer working as a postdoc here at Trinity. And you may have already guessed that, or you may know that I'm not Irish. I'm actually Polish, living in Ireland. And any Irish here? Any Polish? All of them are working probably, busy. So I think Polish and Irish are very much alike, and this is true what they say. I think we are Catholics. We like beer. We like good crack, and you know we like when things are a little bit disorganized at times. And as the Germans might put it, we are lazy, drunk, thieving scum. So you know, a lot of similarities there. But I didn't want to talk about cultural differences tonight. I really wanted to talk about modern telecommunications research. Here we go. And believe it or not, this is not the first time that I'm trying to entertain someone by talking about modern telecommunications research here at Wielands. So I was here on a date, actually. And to cut the story short, it didn't go very well. So hopefully with a bit of preparation on my part, it will be a bit better this time. So what is telecommunications research about? Well, telecommunications engineering in the main is about technologies that allow us to send information across distance. Information between people and machines, then machines and machines, and then machines and lizards from outer space, and lizards from outer space to the master brain that's floating in a jar in the Earth's orbit. So any kind of communication scenario that you can come up with falls under that. And there are really two types of telecommunications engineers out there. Well, there are practitioners. They care about design and building of devices, such as iPhones, iPads, what have you. And there are academics who couldn't care less about those devices. And, you know, this is my phone. You may immediately guess which one I am. So we, as academics, care about how much and how fast we can send the information. So how fast I can send the information from this device here to another device that's, for example, across the room. Okay? So how do we do this? Well, there is one magical formula that we use. It's called Shannon's capacity formula, after Claude Shannon, who is the founding father of modern communications, not the river. And this formula really tells us what is the maximum amount of information that we can send in the presence of noise without error. I don't mean drunk texting here, okay? Just bear with me. And this formula has really two variables, and I think it's safe to use the word knob here, so two knobs, right? I think there were quite a lot of knobs turned here around in the past, so I think it's safe to use that word. And the first knob is something that we call the pulse frequency. So to explain you the pulse frequency, I would like you to ask and participate with me in that. So I would like you to point your index finger at me, like that. Yes? And now start flickering it. Okay, flicker faster. Go, faster. Yes, faster. And now look at yourselves. Yeah, congratulations. So this is my way of revenge on you, because I didn't really need that. What I really wanted to say is that post-frequency, the faster you flicker, the more bandwidth you need. And as wireless, as engineers, the bandwidth is something that we use to represent the wave that describes the flicker. Okay? And if you are a wireless engineer like myself, you know that the bandwidth equals radio spectrum. And you may have heard of this, that radio spectrum is something that's very rare and that's very hard to find. Unlike, say, a nurse on a weeknight at the Coppers. Oh, yeah, I know. I've been a PhD student here, so yeah. So oftentimes when we design the systems, we have to look to the other knob. Still talking about parameters, right, in equations. And this other knob is a ratio. It's a ratio of energy of a signal that we want to transmit, so the signal from my device to another device that's across the room, and the energy of the noise. So the noise being all the other signals coming from all the other devices that I don't care about, okay? So what do we do with that ratio? Well, first of all, we want to make that knob grow larger. And how do we do this? Again, still parameter in equation, right? Just bear that in mind. How do we do that? Well, if you're a wireless engineer like myself, you would care about antennas. You would care about their number or their placement. It may sound all fuzzy, but I want to use the coppers as an analogy again to explain to you what that means. So imagine that a cellular antenna is a latch on the dance floor at the coppers. So now if we want to kind of engineer those LUTs, what we don't want is we don't want there to be too many LUTs, because that's bad. We don't want there to be too few LUTs, because that's also bad. So once we find that sweet spot number of LUTs, we may also want to care about how spread out they are, because we don't want them to interfere with each other. So this is you know, some engineering that we do, right? So what is that I do exactly? Well, what I do is I recast that formula into some futuristic telecommunications scenario. So I recast it together with its two knobs, right? And what does it mean and then, of course, I have a capacity there that describes the capacity that describes the speed with which I can transmit with that, in that scenario. But what does it mean, a futuristic telecommunications scenario? Well, we all know that politicians are useless, right? Yeah. So what if we put cellular antennas on their backs and make them provide mobile services to the public? Right? Well, it's a valid research question. So if you ask a question, what's the speed whether the speed of my mobile connectivity will increase because of that, and give me a few weeks, I'll come up with the formula that describes this, and I'll tell you a number. And this number will tell us whether or not we still need the national broadband plan. Okay, so that didn't go too bad. I hope you are still here. You are still smiling. I hope you are not tweeting about the experience that you had, because my date tweeted about the experience. And she used the hashtag, polish the knob.